G'day fellas and welcome to the third game in the series between these two teams. It is the third game and it is, we're almost onto the match point. The first two games, we are not going to spoil the results for you, but you'll be pleased to know that in this third game, Recon is on the French, spawning in as the pocket player. The map is Lipany. His teammate down towards the south, it's Beastie, and up towards the north, he's got the Muslim there. Lidicor, who's over on the other side of the map?
We will have in the pocket Vortex playing as the Rus in green. On the left, we'll have Mista playing as the purple Mongols, and on the right, it is Luciferum once again in the flank position with the French. So the same lineup as we have seen in game number 1. For Vortex's team, they will have the Rus player playing in the pocket, whereas on the other side, they will have the French player for Recon playing in the pocket position. The big difference, though, I believe, is that this time around, all three players are much closer to each other than they are on Arabia. And that obviously could help, making sure that no player gets isolated from the rest of the team, like we have seen to a certain extent in game number 1.
Yeah, one of the other things to note is we have a Mongol mirror on the flanks. So this will be the first time I think these guys are mirrored up, is that right? Or I might be going crazy. But yes, interestingly, not only do teammates spawn together, but I also feel like you spawn quite close to your enemy on this map as well. Also, one thing to note is that on Lipany, this map is full of little choke points that you'll have to pass your way through. So that can be combined between these the forests as well as these choke points of what are they called? Cliff faces, I think is probably the most appropriate term for them. Lidicor?
Exactly. This makes it a little more difficult to arrive on the battlefield in time, so you need a little bit more team coordination. You can't just run across the map straight away. You sometimes have to go through all of these mazes, and that can slow down someone appearing on the battlefield. Beastie opening up with a pasture right next to his town center, and we are going to see a much more aggressive Dark Age here from the Mista. Usually, he doesn't go for that much Dark Age aggression, but he's going to change things up, and given how exposed that OVO is from Beastie, this could be fatal to a red player.
Yeah, and interestingly, Mista's got no idea about that. You can see from his perspective, he doesn't actually see this. He is just being very aggressive. He's obviously spotted out the Khan from his opponent, so he knows, he knows what's happening. He knows that it's a Mongol player on his side, but yeah, this is going to be very, very difficult for his opponent, Beastie, to hold on right here.
And Mista doesn't see the OVO, actually. He has spotted the gold mine, and that's what he's going for. He's missing that OVO by just a couple of tiles, and really, that's the jackpot, not even the gold mine. You can do a ton of damage at the gold mine as well, but that OVO would be even more valuable to be burnt down.
Yeah, well, my fear at this point is take a look at the gold vein. You can see it's only got 39-36 in it at the moment, which means that these villagers aren't going to be having a lot of success with regard to aging up. He's actually marching out 5 villagers right now, just to try and gather up this gold because he knows how important it is. So a lot of idle time going to be coming out for him here, but he's going to be trying his best to pick up all of that gold that he needs to age up and then potentially be able to drop down that landmark.
And you see the Muslim and Recon are coming in here to try and help out, just buy some time for his teammate to grab that gold. If he can grab that gold, he's going to be fine. It looks like the Gur is also being pulled. As you said, just enough gold there for Beastie to age up. So, crisis averted. Now, Mista will focus on that OVO that he has just spotted. And that's the main target now. Obviously, the gold mine is no longer raidable, so he's going to have to try and burn that down.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether he animation cancels on the siege here. It makes a lot of sense to do. It's a great way to improve the DPS that you're able to do to buildings. So we'll have to see whether he does that. But he is being distracted quite well by the Muslim scout as well as by the Khan out from Beastie as well. But yeah, it does look like he is going to begin sieging down. You can see him doing the animation cancel. The Muslim reaching the feudal age here. We'll jump on board with him, see exactly what he's up to. He's doing pretty well on the bounty. He's up to 245, about to hit that 250 mark. How is Vortex doing, though?
Oh boy, he's at 540, so
Oof.
History seems to repeat itself because that's a ton of bounty for Vortex. The Muslim had to pull his scouts to help his teammate, and because of that, Vortex had all the time in the world to take down all those huntables, so Vortex is a massive advantage, and this is what I was referring to before this set. Mista is doing such an exceptional job just delaying 2 players that it basically allows the other 2 players to finish the game.
Yeah, this is an impressive job from Mista right here. But yeah, going to continue animation cancelling down. So one of the things to note is that with animation cancelling, For anybody unfamiliar, you'll be familiar with animation cancelling from games like StarCraft or Dota. If you've watched that, you would have seen the Marines as they shoot and then they scoot and then they shoot and then they scoot. This is a little bit different, this animation cancelling, because they're actually reducing the attack speed on their units. So every unit's got a stock standard attack speed when it attacks. So for the Scout, it's 3.75, which means one attack every 3.75 seconds. However, if you issue a move command and then issue an attack command immediately after, it will then begin the attack animation again, which subsequently increases DPS by a huge amount. Some units can increase their damage per second by 600% through animation cancelling. So something to be very wary of in these games.
Exactly, and this is one of the most controversial stuff in the game right now. Personally, I really don't like it. On the other hand, as we do have a lot of comments about this one, it's also pretty much impossible to prevent this in a tournament like that, because if you just think about it, especially in the early qualifier rounds, you have 40 sets going on at the same time. There is just no admin on this planet that can supervise 40 sets at the same time to make sure no one is doing it. So at this point, since it's a feature or bug of the game, depending on how you look at it, it is basically something that is allowed because there's no way to make sure that everybody is caught if someone is using it unjustly. So it is something that's unfavorable, I guess, and it's hopefully something that gets fixed in the future, but there is just no way to prevent that being done.
Yeah, it's a little bit frustrating. I feel like it's almost become a point, or just a part of the game at this point. Every single player at the high level will use it, unfortunately, and it's just because if you don't use it, then you're just going to get left behind. But speaking of getting left behind, Vortex clicking up to the castle age at 6 minutes 46 seconds. Damn, that is quick. Literally, his teammate has just reached the feudal age, and he's already clicked up. That is ludicrous.
That's a really fast feudal age. And with that 565 bounty, of course, fast feudal into a fast castle with so much bounty is quite easy to do for Vortex, but of course, that doesn't actually mean that it's something that can be pulled off easily. It's just the fact that with so much bounty for a high-level player like this one, it is going to be something that he can do nicely and convincingly. Other side though, the Muslim got up to 470 bounty though, so despite that kind of pedestrian start with the bounty gathering, he's up to 470 now, so he's slowly recovering.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job actually. He had a lot more villagers on that landmark going up to the 3rd age. 16 villagers versus the 10. And he's actually got up to at about 7 minutes 20, so a very nice timing there. Gets up about 15 seconds ahead of Vortex, which means that he's going to be able to beat him when it comes to the Warrior Monk game, though it does look like he was a little bit delayed in getting his Warrior Monk out. Vortex does appear to be a little bit ahead of him in that regard.
Indeed, we have one knight coming in from Lucifron raiding the lumberjacks of the Muslim right now. That knight is likely going to get taken down by the town center, but it gets one villager kill, so once again the Rus player in the pocket is being set back a tiny bit. And those small things are piling up right now for the Muslim because Vortex is already up to Castle Age. He is coming in with the relics already, and we're going to see horse archers appearing on the battlefield a tiny bit faster than the yellow player.
Yeah, I think that's the main concern, is that those horse archers are going to be coming out, and it really does sort of become a tempo game with the horse archers in the way that they work, because the larger your mass, the more DPS you're going to be putting out, the more DPS that you're putting out, the more killing that you're doing, and very quickly they begin to add up, especially when you've got that screen in front of you, like the Royal Knight, like the Mangadai, which are out at the moment, or even just those scouts that are so common to see out.
And Beastie is going to snap down the Khan of Mista. Now with the support of those knights from Recon and the Mangadai from Beastie, suddenly Mista is under a lot of pressure, but Mista, having that slow feudal age time means that he was gathering a ton of resources in Dark Age, and he's already on the way to Castle. Dark Age pressure into Castle Age is pretty common for Mongols, especially in team games as flank. And now, as Recon's knights are getting repelled, Mista is getting ready to start adding Lancers.
Yeah, this is where it sort of begins, the pain, because these Lancer timings are really what make the difference. the Lancers in particular, just getting out that early 4, 6, 8 Lancers is really where the Mister shines. And he's going to be looking to take out a lot of villagers from his opponent. Obviously, he's going up against a Mongol player who's also on the flank, and he's clicked up a lot later. So Beastie only going up now with the Step Redoubt. So about a minute, 2 minutes potentially even behind his opponent. And that can really be difficult to deal with, especially if your other two allies are being aggressive at the same time, because it means you're going to be on your own.
Exactly. On the right side, we got Recon pushing up with some of his knights. He has the numbers advantage over here, supported by some scouts from the Muslim. Of course, the main role of those scouts at this point for the Muslim will be just to absorb the charge from Lucifron's knights, and Lucifron is a little bit behind when it comes to knight numbers. Could give a nice window for Recon's team to do some damage, much needed damage, because the Muslim has been taking some damage on his lumberjacks before.
Yeah, I think this is definitely a nice little window right here for Recon and for his teammate, the Muslim. As they begin pushing in, you can see them out with their jousts at the moment, trying their best to get in there, but going to be falling in underneath that town center very, very shortly. A lot of villagers out over on the gold mine as well, but take a look. He's got 17 villagers on gold over towards the left. 2 towers already sat down. And a little bit of action in the middle as Mangadai's fighting it out with the horse archers. Not going to have a lot of success there, as we've got multiple raids happening, multiple attacks happening on different fronts.
Mangadai are trying to link up with Recon's forces right now. Of course, having those Castle Age Lancers now out for Mista will absorb a lot of arrow fire. The Muslim still bringing in some of his scouts. He's just now appearing on the battlefield with horse archers though, but he has already gotten 3 relics and the 4th one is just now arriving to his base, as opposed to Vortex grabbing the 3rd one only. So the Muslim, with a bit of an advantage on the relic department, that can start piling up over time. So that's exactly the position you want to be in. Carve out a bit of a lead and then slowly pile it up over time.
I just realized he's got 4 relics in his Abbey of the Trinity. That's not legal. That bug can be a bit frustrating, but it can be a bit rewarding as well sometimes. Yeah, it seems to have rewarded him this time. So he gets to pick up a free relic spot for now. Can delay that monastery. It's a very small thing, but he is doing very well when it comes to his relics.
Exactly. Now we will have horse archers moving in from the Muslim. He's also grabbing the attack upgrade. Recon for now falling back with the knights. As things stand, it looks like everybody is playing one town center, so no second town center play from Recon, unlike in game number 1.
Yeah, my concern at this point is the Muslim's mass is a little bit underwhelming at this point. If we take a look over at Vortex's perspective, out and about on the map right now, he's got 21 horse archers, 7 scouts out, and compare that to the Muslim, it's not looking as pretty for him. I mean, he's only got 15 horse archers out at the moment. Not that many scouts out. He's only got 6 scouts out on the other hand. But now a couple of scouts for Lucifron going to be going down here. Ideally wants to keep them alive because they're going to be able to tank up. But back towards the base of Beastie, he's under attack as well. Villagers idle in the town center. A couple of them going to be going down. Going to be losing a couple more on that wood line, unfortunately. So not the best times right now for Beastie.
As you said, a couple of villagers went down over here. He still has good Mangadai numbers, and now he's up to Castle Age as well. On the right side, it looks like we're seeing more and more horse archers converging to the left, supported by Knights of Lucifron, and the target is gonna be Beastie once again, jumping into the towers. He will save all but one of those villagers.
Yeah, one of those villagers going down, but yeah, this is really the difficult spot, and you can tell, you know, when it comes to the comfort in these team game environments, it definitely feels like the team of Vortex as well as Lucifron, the Mista, definitely a comfortable one, but now we're going to be watching as these fights begin. It might get confusing for you, I assure you. It's not. It's very simple. Follow the primary colors. They're on one team, and then the other 3 colors are on the other team. So you've got yellow, dark blue, and red all up against the purple, the teal, and the green, and they appear to be escaping a nice push, a nice little defense coming in here from Beastie QT and the Strelborers.
Exactly, that's a very nice counterattack over there. The horse archers arrived just in time, and the knight numbers for Recon are much, much larger. But there is that trade-off that now Lucifron is up to Castle Age and he's got Veteran Royal Knight. So numbers are better for Recon right now, but the quality is less. Of course, as long as he retains these knight numbers and now they're charging towards Mista's base, they might still be able to just win this with brute force numbers and do a lot of damage to Mista.
Yeah, there's a lot of units out for them, and they're going to continue pushing through now as those knights begin to make their way to the front line. No veteran status yet on these, and they're going to be doing a great job of screening in here. Going up against the Lancers of his opponent, we can see that the Horse Archers are being focused down, so Vortex doing his best to try and focus down the Horse Archers of his opponent. These guys are the main damage dealer in this situation, and they're doing a really decent job. The Royal Knights are holding on for the French player Recon. He's doing great, Lidicor, at this point, and it looks like we might have a potential upset here. De Muslim and Beastie trying their best with Recon, but it does look like they haven't been able to push through at this point in time, and they're going to have to fall back once again.
The lack of castle age upgrades really started to show for Recon's Knights at the end of that battle, and the other thing was that Mista could reinforce the battle so easily. He's got 4 stables working for him right now, and that is just pumping out Lancers consistently, whereas you see the Lancer numbers are just not there anymore for Beastie. In fact, he's got minimal army on the battlefield right now. He's just now starting to rebuild his Lancer numbers as we speak.
Yeah, he's having a bit of a tough time. With regard to stables, he's got 3 of those stables out. Yeah, he's having a tough time getting those numbers back up. Obviously, he was raided at an earlier point in the game, lost a few villagers on the woodline, but was also idle for quite a bit, so that's going to affect him adversely. But at this point in time, do you feel like there is a lead for one team over the other?
It's difficult to say. It is very, very difficult to say because you only have 3 relics for Vortex, whereas the Muslim has 5. Oh, there is that, and now Recon also got up to Castle Age. Recon aged up with the Royal Institute, so he's gonna be able to grab Royal Bloodlines, and he's also grabbing Cantled Settles. So those 2 upgrades being there, especially if you also get enlistment incentives and make a castle to support your knight production, that could be a very nice combination, and it could give a massive advantage over the other French player, although this time around Lucifer also aged up with the Royal Institute, and he's grabbing Royal Bloodlines, so he changed his strategy compared to game number 1, where he went with the Guildhall.
Yeah, a smart move from him. I definitely think Royal Institute in these 3v3s, especially in these high-octane 3v3s, where it's very typical that you're going to be, you know, in playing on these open maps, it's very important to go for that Royal Institute. It just makes such a difference. As you mentioned, it's a huge power spike in the strength of the units, and it just really means that you're able to tank a lot more damage than what you'd normally be able to.
On the left side, Beastie is now slowly crawling up. He's getting some towers up all across the map, and that's going to expand his YAM speed network. Mista tried to do the same thing, but he's gonna be denied, and losing that tower foundation means that there is also some gold and food given to Beastie. On the right side, though, now you have pretty much the same amount of Horse Archers, but also some veteran Royal Knights coming in here, and they will have the Royal Bloodlines upgrade in a matter of seconds. It's something that takes a lot of time to research, but if you time it right, you can have that pop in just before you start taking that fight.
Yeah, Royal Bloodlines is an incredibly important upgrade to have. For anybody unfamiliar with it, it is the unique French Imperial upgrade that increases the health of cavalry. So typically, you've got access to the Biology upgrade, which increases the health of your cavalry by 20%. The French actually get Royal Bloodlines, which is 35%. On top of that, because it's a unique technology, by building the Royal Institute, they have access to it in the 3rd age, which is absolutely crazy. Speaking of absolutely crazy, it looks like we've got ourselves a battle on our hands. The players, keep in mind, it's the blue and the yellow going up against the teal, the purple, and the green. And look at the mass coming out with these Horse Archers. These Horse Archer masses are very formidable. I'd love to see just even a few mangonels here. Could be really helpful in this situation, Lidicor.
Exactly, especially considering that this is a 3 versus 2 right now. Mista and of course Vortex and Lucifron both have their forces in here, whereas you only see 2 players from the Muslims team having army nearby. Horse Archers and some Lancers out, and of course those Knights from Recon don't have the upgrade yet, whereas Lucifron's ones do. And you see that at this point, Mista is just sending out his Knights to kill the Eco, while the other 2 players are just finishing off the army of the opponent. The Muslims' Eco is now in serious trouble as well.
Yeah, he is getting raided non-stop right now by the Mista. He's having a very difficult time. You can see he's got 17 idols. Only 18 villages remain right now for De Muslim. He is in dire straits at this point. He's got a large army that's out and about on the map, but once again, this team has not been the aggressor in the early game, and it's meant, as a consequence, they've lost their economies as a result.
The Muslim was the punching bag. The good news for them is that in some previous sets, when the Muslim was the punching bag, they actually managed to recover, so maybe there's a glimpse of hope for them, but it's gonna be very difficult because they're heavily outnumbered now. And you see, Beast is just now arriving on the battlefield, but the knight numbers aren't really there for him. that extra Royal Bloodlines HP that is there for Lucifron is just giving them so much tanking ability in front of those Horse Archers from Vortex.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference from 230 health up to 310. So an 80 health point difference between those two. And it makes all the difference. It is absolutely crazy how much longer they get to survive, because then that stacks up with the Chivalry bonus, which is healing them up constantly, so they survive more often and subsequently they heal up. So it's just a really, really strong upgrade to have. But yeah, this mass from Vortex right now looking very commanding. I'm really scratching my head at this point and wondering if there's any way that DeMuslim and his team's able to come back into this, considering he's down to 15 villagers. And DeMuslim taps out. That's the third game in a row going over to his opponents, Vortex, Lucifron, and the Mister. Lidakor, another great game on this open map.
Vortex's team is just looking absolutely unstoppable right now. They got their foot on that gas pedal and they are just not letting it out of their hands. Really, really powerful. Their team coordination is just so much on point. Really, the timing of that push once again was just exceptional. The moment you get the upgrade in for Lucifron, they knew exactly that they have that power spike. It's an expensive upgrade, even with the discount that the Royal Institute provides. It's like 500 plus gold. But once you grab that, your power spike will be so big that you can pretty much decide the battle with those knights soaking up all the arrow fire. And from that point on, it was basically a 3 versus 2 on the Muslims' base. And once again, Vortex and Lucifron just fight together, push back the opponent's army, and Mr. is just left alone to do whatever he wants. And in that case, it was just sending in his knights to the eco of the Muslim, and the Muslim loses all the villagers out there. If you look at the KD, Vortex with 103, Chaos 70 deaths out there. Also, Mr. 71-44. So very, very good fights taken. And you see, Lucifron 35-50. It's not spectacular, but of course, his role is not to kill. His role is to soak up that arrow fire. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, really, really well played game. Once again, very methodical, but we do see that triple cavalry combination coming out. So if you're watching this and you're wondering, what am I going to do in my team games? Well, mate, cavalry definitely seems to be the primary thing that people are doing. All right, Lidakor. Well, that was the third game. We've got more games coming up this evening, but my fear is that it may be a 4-0 sweep. What do you reckon?